What's up, guys? It's Doodoo Poker here, back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to play against the donk flop bet turn bet river line. Okay, so here's a hand I played against a likely fish. I'm going to show you this hand and you tell me what you do on the river. Okay, we're going to go through it in a solver first, and I have MDA, and I'm going to show you the real hand as well. Okay, so we have Queen 9 of spades. Okay, we're in the hijack. Okay, the small blind calls. Everyone else folds. Okay, the flop comes 8 of spades, 5 of diamonds, 4 of spades. Okay, so now I'm going to follow along here as well. Now it's very likely this player is a fish. Okay, but we don't know for sure. So let's follow along in theory, and then we'll do the MDA, and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, so he donks flop for about about 1/3. Okay, so actually you do get a donking range in theory. So let's follow along in GTO Wizard. So I have Queen 9 of spades. So it's mixed in a solver. Now, if he's a reg, I prefer calling. Also, if he's a fish, I definitely prefer calling, because fish under fold to raises on low boards. Okay, so we should be calling against both profiles. So I'm going to call, and the turn, what's the turn? The turn is a queen, so I hit top pair on the turn. Okay, so now we know he donked small in the flop, so that's the first data point. He donked 1/3. Okay, so now he bets on the turn in overbet. Let's see what he bet exactly. So we have the exact percentage. Okay, he bets 289 into 203, 289 into 203. So he bets 142% on the turn. Okay, let's see if this is a thing in theory. I actually think it is, now that I think about it some more. Yes, it is. Okay, so he does get an overbet range on the turn in theory. So either this guy's really good or he's just a fish. We don't know yet. I'm thinking he's a fish based on his VP IP PFR gap, but we are not 100%. Okay, so let's say he bet 142. Let's say he bets 175, because more theoretical than 125. Okay, so I have Queen 9 of spades. I have my top pair and my flush draw. Nothing else to do but call. All right, let's follow along down here. And I call, and now the river comes an ace of diamonds. Okay, and he goes all in. Okay, he goes all in for about 3x pot. Let's see if this is a theoretical line as well. Now, it's not really a theoretical line when the ace comes, because the ace is very polarizing. Okay, but he did jam. Okay, so let's just say he jammed, and I just want to see what Queen 9 of spades does. Okay, so it is a 0 EV call in theory. That's good to know. Okay, so in theory, we know calling and folding are the same EV. Okay, but what do we know about fish? Okay, like I said, I think this person is a fish because of his VPIP PFR gap. Okay, well, we have to think. Let's look at MDA for the donk bet line. Okay, now I don't have donk 33, but I'm going to look at donk 100 first. Okay, this is the MDA for donk pot bet for a single raise pot out of position pre-flop caller. Okay, so what do we see here? We see that it is over bluffed. Okay, unless it's bet 100, which is GTO-ish. Now 120 should be 35 weak. Now when we start getting to the higher bet sizings, it becomes bluff less, but also the sample size is lower. Okay, guys? So on these huge sample size, like in game, he donk jammed 3x pot, you're not going to get samples on this sizing. Okay, but what can we notice? Well, let's look at some data points here. Let's look at some data points. Okay, we're going to look at missed flush draw data point. Okay, let's look at this data point first. Here we see river busted flush draw is 36 week, right? The aggregate is 34 week. So that means busted flush draws are weaker than the aggregate, okay? So that is one data point for us to call, okay? Now, I'm going to show you, this is Donk 100. I'm going to show you Donk 50, okay? This is Donk 50. Now, I just showed you Donk 100, right? And Donk 100 was 34 week overall. Now, this is 39 week overall, okay? So, what that must mean is the fish telegraph their hand strength based on the initial donking size, okay? So if Donk 100 is 34 week and Donk 50 is 39 week, it logically makes sense that Donk 33 is probably weaker than Donk 50 and Donk 100, right? So that's another good data point, okay? A third good data point is the low boards. We know the low boards with the high card on the turn are over bluffed, especially when a overcard comes on the turn and then again on the river. So that's another data point. So we have the missed flush draw, we have the low board, we have the low board with the turn overcard, and a low board with the river overcard. Okay, so 4 good data points. So we have to take all this into consideration. And we have to remember an MDA core principle. What is that? The MDA core principle is that texture supersedes sizing, okay? Texture has priority over sizing. So what does that mean? That means if I know that this texture, meaning busted flush draw, low board, turn overcard, river overcard, 4 data points plus the Donk 33 bet sizing tell, I have all those data points that are weak, right? But I have one data point that is strong, which is a 3x pot jam. But the texture, meaning the data points of the low board, the turn overcard, the river overcard, have priority over the sizing. So the texture breaks the tie, which means I should call river here, okay? Because I think a lot of people would fold here on the river thinking, oh, he hit the ace, oh, he has a set, right? But we have to dig a little deeper. We have to realize that, 1, he donked really small on the flop. Remember, he donked around 1/3 pot. 2, yes, he overbet, but the texture supersedes sizing, so the overcard on the turn is overbluffed. And 3, yes, he jammed, but again, texture has priority over sizing. So I call in game, and he has pocket 2s, and we win. All right, guys. So I know that this line is overbluffed because we see it in the data. This is Donk 100 bet. But we don't have enough data for the large 3x pot jam. So we're not going to get good feedback from the data, so we have to rely on the texture and what we know. Okay, guys? And we also use the Donk 33 sizing as a tell for weakness. This is also true in 3-bet pots and 4-bet pots. The initial donk sizing is a huge indicator of strength and weakness, right? Because as we see here, the Donk 100 is 34 week. The Donk 50 is 39 week. So we can logically deduce that the Donk 33 is going to be weaker than both of those. All right, guys. A lot of MDA here, a lot going on, but very cool hand. This is how you can use MDA to outperform what a solver would do, because a solver would mix here, but we're pure calling because of all the data points that show it's overbluffed. All right, guys. Thanks for checking in. I'll see you in the next video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.